Hello everybody, it's Fu here, and today I want to talk to you about another new move introduced in the Isle of Armor DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield, and it's going to be Triple Axel, which is a really interesting Ice-type move. Hits 3 times, each time getting more powerful. The first hit is base 20 power, second hit 40 power, and third hit 60 power. So if you hit all 3, it's base 120 power in total, which is very strong. That's pretty much the strongest physical Ice-type move that a lot of Pokemon will have access to. The issue is its shaky accuracy, so each hit has a separate 90% accuracy check, and to hit all 3 it's only around 73% accuracy, which is the same ballpark as things like Sleep Powder and Focus Blast, so that's not a great place to be in, but if you do hit, obviously you're hitting really hard. The best physical ice type attacker that learns this is Weavile, so that will get same type attack bonus on top, which makes it an even stronger move, and it's really nice for Weavile. It means that it will be able to pick up some one-hit KOs that it might not be able to usually with things like Icicle Crash. However, that shaky accuracy makes it a very high-risk move to use, because if you only hit twice or if you miss completely, you're probably not picking up the KO that you need, and Weavile is relatively frail, it has a lot of weaknesses, so it will probably faint. And that's why I think that Weavile probably isn't the best user of this move. I think another Pokemon that will appreciate having access to this move a lot more, and that is Hitmontop. That's because of its Technician ability. So though this move is 120 base power if you hit all 3, because it's broken into 3 hits that each have a base power below 60, each hit is boosted by its Technician ability, getting a 50% damage boost, making Triple Axel a base 180 power Ice-type move when Hitmontop uses it, and that is insane power. That's the same power as Victini's V-Create, which is just stupid. It hits like a truck. Why this is so great is because fighting and ice are very compatible attacking types. They cover for each other pretty well. Things like flying types that resist fighting are weak to ice, as well as other notable Pokemon. Things like Dragapult is immune to close combat, but it will take super effective damage from Triple Axel. There are lots of grass poison types that resist fighting but are weak to ice type, so they actually have really good attacking synergy, and that's going to be so vital for Hitmontop, turning it into a more offensive Pokemon than defensive Pokemon, which is really cool to see. There is another Pokemon with a Technician ability that gets this move in Cinccino. I don't think it benefits as much as Hitmontop because normal and ice don't go quite as well together as fighting and ice, but it still can use it, and it also gets Skill Link, which works very interestingly with Triple Axel because it means that you only need to take 1 accuracy check when you try to first hit this move, and then it always hits 3 times. It won't ever hit once or twice, it'll always hit 3 times, which is very nice. And I did want to try to make a Technician Weavile team, which I did, and I'll tell you about in a second, but first I made a Hitmontop team, which I think is pretty viable. I think Hitmontop is definitely the best user of this move, and so I definitely advise you to check this out. So I have a battle to show you to basically show you how this works and why I think that Triple Axel Hitmontop is so good. My opponent leads with Excadrill and Togekiss, very common leads in doubles, and they're generally pretty threatening. Togekiss is very good against fighting types because it can follow me and misdirect your close combats, but here I'm able to get a Tailwind up, ensuring that I outspeed both the opposing Pokemon and can go for Triple Axel on the first turn. And you can see I hit 3 times and 1-hit KO that Togekiss, well technically 3-hit KO, but with 1 attack I take out a Togekiss turn 1 with a fighting type, which is just unheard of. That is amazing, and that thing was such a big threat to both of my Pokemon, so they really didn't see that Triple Axel coming and 1-hit KOing. What's also worth noting is that a lot of Excadrills hold the Focus Sash, but because Triple Axel hits 3 times, you can break straight through that, and you can actually 1-hit KO most Excadrills as well with the Triple Axel, rather than going for a close combat and allowing it to survive with a Focus Sash. On the second turn, I actually don't opt to do that because of the shaky 72% accuracy with Triple Axel. I'd rather just ensure that I KO the Excadrill. So what I go for is an Energy Ball into the Excadrill, and then I go for a close combat to just get that assured KO, because otherwise it would be taking out one of my Pokemon this turn, probably. My opponent has Dynamaxed their Jellicent, and this doesn't seem like too much of a problem, but I am a Life Orb Hitmontop, which means that I've taken quite a bit of recoil here, as well as some rock slide damage. And because of the special defense drop that I've just taken with the close combat, I definitely am going to be taken out by a max geyser from the Jellicent. But my Hitmontop did so much damage. I think I can show you the value there already. Fighting types are already a very important typing to have, but one that can one-hit KO a Togekiss is so important. Now, my opponent actually in the back has a Tyranitar as well, so another Pokemon that Hitmontop would have been very valuable against. Unfortunately, I let it go down, and maybe I should have tried to preserve it a bit more because Tyranitar is a big threat. But hopefully, because of the work that Hitmontop has already done, I'm able to wrap this one up despite the opponent having a Tyranitar. I mean, what I could have done the last turn is maybe Energy Ball the Jellicent and tried for that triple axle on the Excadrill, but I don't think that it was worth taking that risk. So what I do instead is I Dynamax my own Jellicent. We stand pink Jellicent because she's a queen on this channel. And we go for an Energy Ball just to get some damage onto the opposing Jellicent. This is a max special attack Whimsicott, so we do some decent damage there. It looks like it might be a more offensive Whimsicott on the opponent's side. But because I have my Tailwind up, I do actually have a faster Jellicent, so that's pretty neat. This next turn, my opponent guards with their Jellicent, but my priority right now is actually to change the weather with my own Jellicent. So I'm going for a Max Geyser into the Tyranitar to get the rain up. That means that it won't get its Sand special defense boost anymore because I have a Togekiss in the back which would be able to outspeed and hit it with super effective fairy type attacks. So I felt like it was a priority despite activating the Tyranitar's weakness policy. By the way, I really appreciate the opponent's Tyranitar nickname, reference to a very good film, and it's kind of referencing the fact that you never know what Tyranitars might hold. Do they have the weakness policy or not? This one did. Most do, but you never know. You never know whether you should attack them with super effective moves. So anyway, Tailwind runs out. We do actually dodge a Rock Slide. I don't think that was so crucial because, as I said, I've got my Togekiss in the back that should be able to do a lot of damage with its Dazzling Gleams, and I still have my Max Geyser pressure on with my Jellicent, so we were doing okay here. And you can see that I've got the Kasib Berry because of Jellicent is much more prevalent now with Urshifu with the water and fighting type coverage. Jellicent is immune to both of them, so that's really crucial, and I think you'll be seeing a lot more Jellicent. Jellicent's a fantastic Pokemon in this meta, and I'm really enjoying using it. So that was the first battle which I wanted to show you, which is just showing you how Hitmontop works. I think it's really cool. I really enjoyed using it, and definitely try it out because Triple Axle from Hitmontop allowing you to take out Togekiss, the most common Pokemon in VGC, is so cool. The next thing I wanted to try is to make a Technician Weavile so that you could get that base 180 power Triple Axle with Stab, making it base 270 power, being one of the most insanely powerful moves in the entire game. But also, Weavile has a ton of other moves that will benefit from Technician as well, things like Ice Shard and whatever. So I really wanted to make this work, but I found it very difficult to do. I thought that the best way to do it would be to use a Mr. Mime that has the Technician ability, and also it has access to Skill Swap. But the issue is Mr. Mime is slower than Weavile, and I want to get that Skill Swap off first turn without taking any damage. So I used a Choice Scarf Mr. Mime and a Focus Sash Weavile just to try and Skill Swap first turn and start getting KO straight away with Triple Axle and hopefully survive a couple of turns with Focus Sash intact. What I found was that Triple Axle does do a ton of damage. I had a couple of games where I just tested the damage, and so I had one where I tested the damage against Tyranitar, and you almost take it out, but you don't quite. You don't quite get the one-hit KO on Tyranitar, and you definitely don't if they Dynamax. And also Corviknight, depending on the spread, you can do a lot of damage, but you don't quite one-hit KO. You one-hit KO tons of other things though, so that's okay. But with a setup involved and basically a completely dead weight Mr. Mime after it's gone for a skill swap because your choice locked in, this is a very risky strategy and it definitely doesn't always work out, so you need to bear that in mind. I think I'll show you a battle where it did kind of work out, so that you can see what I'm aiming for. And my opponent leads with Talonflame and Magnezone, two really powerful new Pokemon added from the DLC. Talonflame gets access to Gale Wing's max Airstream, which is crazy. So anyway, my opponent actually decides to Dynamax their Talonflame first turn. I was slightly concerned to see like a Gale Wing's max Airstream come out and then a fast Magnezone might outspeed at +1. It won't outspeed though because because Weavile is so fast. It's faster than Talonflame when Talonflame doesn't have Gale Wings. But we see here my skill swap actually goes first, which means that they're not going for a flying type move. Either that or they're Flame Body, but I assume that they're just not going for a flying type move, as I get to use my triple Axel before they attack, breaking their Gale Wings. But you see I get a crit on the second hit, and that means that the third hit almost takes out a Dynamax Pokemon. That is mental. That damage was absolutely insane. You'll see in the next turn that the crit doesn't actually matter too much, but yeah, that was crazy. And yeah, the Talonflame was going for a fire type attack, which makes sense. It's super effective against Weavile and sets up the sun, so its follow-up fire type attacks will do even more damage. And fortunately, Magnezone goes for a Flash Cannon, taking out my Magic Goblin, because Magic Goblin is completely dead weight once it's gone for that first skill swap. So that's fine with me. It allows me to get in my Incineroar for free, and I can go for a Fake Out onto the Magnezone and make it flinch as I go for an Ice Shard onto the Talonflame. And that, without the crit the previous turn, that would have still taken out Talonflame because I have the Technician ability, meaning that Ice Shard is now very powerful. So the Magnezone flinches, as you see, and Lycanroc comes in, another huge threat from the DLC. I'm actually going to cycle out my Incineroar to get an Intimidate on that, because I don't have an Intimidate on it, which is not great. The Magnezone goes for Protect, which is very nice because it allows me to just get off my Ice Shard onto the Lycanroc without having to take any damage on my Jellicent. And you see how much damage that Technician Ice Shard does. That was so good. Breaks any potential sashes, which is great. And I can bring in my Incineroar now to get the Intimidate onto the Lycanroc so that I can take attacks a little bit better. I also cycle in for a Fake Out, which is very good. And I'm not in a great position here because my opponent has 3 Pokemon, I only have 2, but I do have the Intimidate, I have Fake Out Pressure, and I still have my Dynamax, because I was able to take out their Dynamax with triple Axel, which is so good. And again, it's going to be my beautiful Jellicent, so useful in this new meta. And what I'm going to do is just Fake Out into Lycanroc, because I need to disable it. I don't want it getting the spread Rock Slide damage on both my Pokemon, potentially doing a lot of damage to Incineroar. And it then means that I can take it out with a Max Phantasm. What this also shows me is that Magnezone is like min speed, or it's just very slow because my Jellicent was able to outspeed it, and Jellicent does not have much speed investment. My Jellicent isn't min speed, it has a little bit of speed investment, but not much at all. So that's really good because it means that I'll outspeed with my Jellicent the following turn. And what I'm going to do this turn is hopefully tank any hits that Alakazam wants to go for. Another huge threat that was introduced in the DLC, as I can go for a Flare Blitz knowing that I'll outspeed the Magnezone because my Incineroar is faster than Jellicent. And then I can go for a Max Phantasm into the Alakazam. The Alakazam turned out not to be sashed, and I can take that out too. So I thought that this battle was really cool in showing how much damage the Technician triple Axel can do with Weavile. It also shows how frail Weavile is, and you have to be really careful, but having that very fast Ice Shard priority is really nice, taking into account the fact that Ice Shard from Weavile will out-prioritize Talonflame with Gale Wings because it's naturally faster, and you can break its Gale Wings straight away, which is very cool. The one last thing I wanted to show you was just a really hilarious thing where I was up against a Lycanroc and I wanted to go for triple Axel, and the Lycanroc went for Accelerock on the first turn, taking my Weavile down to 1 HP because of its Focus Sash. And then because I had the Pickpocket ability before I was able to skill swap, I steal the opponent's Life Orb, meaning that my triple Axel is going to do even more damage. But obviously I'm on 1 HP, so I fainted the Life Orb that I just pickpocketed, which was so annoying, but also glorious. And just, I love Pokemon mechanics when they work like that. They're so funny. So maybe a better ability on my Weavile would be Pressure, just so that I don't happen to steal items that aren't useful. But I thought that was really funny. So those are kind of my takes on triple axel. I think it's a really fun move, very high risk but high reward. I think Weavile, it's probably a bit too much risk when it has access to icicle crash that's slightly more reliable. But I would say with Hitmontop, it's fantastic coverage that's been added. If you want an offensive Hitmontop, this can now take out Togekiss, which is insane and something that it definitely couldn't do before. So I would advise you to try out Hitmontop. And yeah, experiment with other things as well. Maybe try out Tsarina, which gets it as well. Tsarina can struggle with grass types and dragon types that resist its grass type moves. You can use triple axel to hit them, so that's pretty cool too. Let me know what you think of triple axel in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you've seen a couple of videos and are enjoying the content. That's going to be all from me. I've been Fu, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.